everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
And today we're going to tell you how we felt about Justice League versus the Fatal Five. And this is the first Bruce Timm produced, in continuity as far as we can tell, Justice League DC animated universe thing in a long time. Of course, you had the Batman Harley Quinn movie, which we and pretty much the whole universe absolutely detested, which didn't seem like it was really in that continuity so much as just in that style and riffing on things.
Gods and Mortals was kind of like that too, where it was in that art style, but it wasn't.
Gods and Mortals, Gods and Monsters.
Gods and Monsters, sorry, Gods and Monsters. Gods and Mortals was.
It wasn't as much even in that style, though, was it?
I remember it being like in the Justice League style.
It's funny because I remember loving that movie, and I don't remember much about it at all. I've got to go back to that at some point because that was a breath of fresh air.
Yep.
In the middle of all of that 52 stuff, and I want to say this is or 52 inspired stuff, and I want to say this is too because I'm so sick of that animation style, and I'm so sick of the not so great, kind of lame humor between the Justice League characters, and all of that, all the stuff I've always complained about with the new 52 stuff, and just really uninspired stories and stuff. And this was more fun than those have been, partly because it was nice to get back to that style, and because it was more competently written. But I gotta say, just right out the gate, I had a hard time getting into this.
I did too. I felt like they hit like a middle ground, that they should have either just made this like a Justice League movie or just made a Legion movie.
Yeah.
If they wanted to make a Legion movie, they should have just made a Legion movie.
And the awkward thing about this is it's a Legion movie without the Legion, except for Starboy, who I'm assuming is a member of the Legion.
I will say,
but that's not even a character I know.
I didn't me either. I will say I liked him.
I liked him a lot.
I thought he was really interesting. And that's probably the best thing was with Starboy. I thought Starboy was the best thing.
Sure. I mean, my best thing is animation.
Yeah.
Getting back to that style. And I don't mean that just because of nostalgia. Like, it's... Because I didn't have this with Batman and Harley Quinn. Like, it has that style, but they're kind of monkeying with it. This is authentically that again. If we're gonna go back to that continuity and start adding things again, it's like they jumped right back in where they left off, and that was
it
really
doesn't
cool.
It doesn't feel like a lot of times when we do something like this, we're like, we're gonna go back to the way it used to look, but we're using modern technology, so it's not gonna feel at all like characters are gonna move differently. Like, it's not actually gonna look like that. We do that a lot.
This felt like it could have been the next thing they did after Unlimited.
Yeah.
It could have been.
Yeah.
Like, if they started making movies, this could have been, the next movie they made. This made me long for movies in this continuity. Like, wouldn't it be really nice if every couple of years we came back to this continuity and made something?
Yeah.
Like we used to, back after Batman the Animated Series, and sometimes, during Justice League we would make stuff. But my big thing with this is it just doesn't feel movie-worthy.
No, this feels like an episode, maybe a two-parter of Justice League that no one would ever... Like, I don't think people would dislike... It wouldn't be remembered as, like, the bad one, but it wouldn't be an episode that people, like, went back to and was like, oh, yeah, you remember when they did that?
They would maybe kind of forget about it.
I don't know why this needed to be a movie. Why was this the story they were dying to tell? And I also think the biggest problem is they dropped the ball with Jessica Cruz, which we were kind of talking about at the end, where she has a character arc, but I don't feel it, because when we meet her, she's, like, gripped with anxiety and depression. And I think that's interesting. But then
we're just told about, like, what happened to her friends and stuff?
Yeah. And then, like, the second that the superhero stuff starts, she just acts like another superhero, but can kind of relate to Starboy. So at the end, when she has her big moment, I'm like, but you've been acting this way the whole time. I don't feel like you're overcoming... Like, she keeps talking about, like, how afraid of things she is, but I don't get it from her throughout the movie. So when she gets her big moment of, like, overcoming things... I felt like she was already there. I felt like she was there in season 1.
Happens off screen. Like,
yeah.
Like, on paper, I get what that arc is supposed to be, and I probably like her better in this than I have in other things.
This is my first experience with her.
Jessica Cruz has irritated me in things before, where, I mean, it's a fine line to walk with a character that has the... anxiety issues, the mental condition that she has.
Because you don't want it to be too mopey or too like, well, why don't they do it? You don't want it to be Al Simmons, right?
Yeah, exactly. You don't want her to just walk around constantly complaining, and she's not a very endearing character. But the problem is, the problem she has is that she has this crippling anxiety, and she doesn't believe in herself, and she doesn't trust herself, and that can, of course, be an interesting character arc, and we should tell stories about people that have that, because people have that, and some of that resonates with me, but again, too much of it is on paper. She just talks about it. I didn't dislike her.
I need a couple of scenes where, like, she's, like, using the ring and it, like, dissipates, because, like, she gets too anxious or something like that. I don't need it to be every fight scene, but, like, I need a couple of scenes of her in action faltering.
Or like, she needs more of, like, a relationship with the ring voice, because that's the thing we do in the comics with her, in Green Lanterns. It's been a while since I've read any of that, but if memory serves, I think the ring will, like, berate her for you know, being too whiny and mopey and stuff. You can use it that way, or you can use it almost like a therapist, like the like the ring place therapist. It would have been fun if we had some of that.
Yeah.
But the problem is there are kind of too many characters in this movie that are just doing plot things, and then we occasionally will cut back to the characters that are supposed to actually have be the characters that we're following that are changing and growing and learning something. And it is too plot driven of a movie, and it's not driven enough by the things those characters are going through.
Well, and it's not an interesting enough plot to be a plot-driven movie.
It's not, and it's kind of padded out.
The villains needed to be different. I'm not saying that, like, every villain has to be sympathetic. Like I appreciate when we just do evil villains, but, like, they weren't over the top enough. And they weren't sympathetic enough.
They weren't fun, and we get one scene with what's-his-face?
Mono?
Mono.
We did not get
Mono.
Mono.
Get the line I want. I'll talk about that in a second. Mono...
Worst thing. No Mono.
No Mono Amano. How do you have a character... I guess I'll say that. How do you have a character named Mono and there's no Mono Amano joke? I said when we were watching it, he should have a henchman named Amano. It's ridiculous that never comes up.
I just think somebody... Well, we didn't have the joke. We didn't have a jokey character. Like, we didn't have a Flash stand-in. So I guess there was nobody there to be like, well, let's go Mono.
Well, you're right. If this
was... needed one of those.
Now that you say that, I'm going to say this.
I'm just now realizing this.
This movie, if it had been a 2-part episode, it would have been in Justice League, not Justice League Unlimited. It feels like that. Like, too many of the characters are just, like, real solid and kind of stoic.
Because neither of us are the biggest fans of Justice League.
No, I like a lot of stuff in that show that I haven't seen every episode, but I mean, like, there's a lot of stuff in that I like. But I've always agreed with people, and this was a common complaint at the time, that it's just too stoic and it doesn't have enough fun a lot of the time. And this movie has that problem, and on the bad guy side also. Like, these villains at least complement our heroes in that way.
And, like,
and if it was a Legion movie, it would be more jokey and fun and stuff, probably. And part of the reason it was hard for me to get excited about this and get on board with this is I generally my eyes glaze over when I look at Legion stuff. I just cannot get into that.
It could have been a Booster Gold movie.
You know what, though?
Well, he is
at least a fun character. Like, yeah, and one of the best episodes of Unlimited is his. Is it Unlimited, or is it?
I think it's Unlimited.
I think so.
I'm pretty sure.
But one of the best ones I've seen, because I haven't seen every episode, like I said. But anyway, but yeah,
I think I have seen every episode of Unlimited.
The characters that we're supposed to be excited to see come back, namely Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, don't really get enough to do. They're kind of in the background. And they're used very much as plot devices, especially Superman.
Yeah, it's weird. I hadn't thought about this until you just said that. What's weird is, this is like a big return, right? Like, we're going back to that old style, like, it's the Justice League you know.
Yeah.
But the only 3 returning characters are the ones that are barely there.
And we're going to focus...
Batman's there, and Wonder Woman's there, and Superman's there, but...
And they all get stuff to do plot-wise, but they don't get, like, character moments.
Yeah, like, and what... We have that thing with Miss Martian that's mentioned, like, twice and then paid off, which I guess is supposed to be a Batman
Like, it's supposed to be some kind of a thread, but it's...
Yeah. It's not there enough. It should have been cut.
Yeah. It's a setup payoff, almost like if it were a joke or something, not like a thing we keep checking back in on. And she doesn't have really like a character arc. It's just she's worried at the beginning. I guess we're doing some minor spoilers. She's worried at the beginning that she's not going to get to be part of the Justice League, and then at the end, oh, she is. All right, but we didn't get like any. Am I missing a big like moment with her where she does something crucial so that they can save the day? Like,
Honestly, when we got to the third act, my eyes were glazed over.
I had the same thing. Yeah, but it's fine. I mean, that's my review. Like, it's not bad. I didn't hate watching it.
This is more the direction I want to see them go.
But it didn't keep my attention all the way through either.
I just want a more interesting story.
That's it. And it felt very counterintuitive to do Legion, but not have really Legion there, and to do...
Well, and then the Legion show up at the end, and we don't know why they couldn't have shown up earlier. Yeah, why... That was weird.
But you have, like, these... Your villains are not interesting, and I meant to mention this earlier, so I brought up Mono to say we've got one scene, it's kind of a token scene, to tell us what his motivation is, and it has something to do with his wife. And we don't get that for anybody else, really.
No.
And they all seem like just one-dimensional, kind of cardboard cutouts just doing standard
supervillain if they were more crap.
Yeah, but you need at least the one that's got kind of a compelling motivation and maybe has some kind of a parallel with one of our heroes, and like you've got the the mental instability thing.
Yeah, they're not. But that's not parallel at all.
That's what I was going to say. Is you got the mental instability thing between Starboy and Jessica Cruz, and it's really weird that there's nothing about that on the villain side.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to plug in for a formula, but I'm just trying to come up with how could we make this more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know enough about those villains. I mean, and also it's very strange that we don't even get we don't even really get what they want to do until, like, the third act. Like, there's not really a plan besides just go pick up the rest of us.
And that could work if it was structured better, or if those characters were more fun. You're like, oh yeah, they didn't have a plan until this.
It's kind of just treated like a reveal where I'm checking my watch and wondering why I'm looking at this, and then you get the big bombshell dropped of this is what the bad guys are gonna do. But not until we pick up the two that we didn't have through most of the movie, and then the girl, whatever her name is.
Emerald Empress.
Is it Emerald Empress? Is that her name?
Yeah, yeah.
Or are you just making that up? Is that what she actually is? Because I can't remember these characters, and they're not people that I knew before.
Yes.
I guess I didn't even remember. I had to turn around and look, but I was going to say, I just remember Mono because of the Mono thing. But she, it's like they have to go get her to tell them what to go do with themselves. And then when she does, I'm like, okay, well, that's a cool bad guy plot and all, but it sounds like a thing you could easily do and wrap up in a 22-minute episode of something.
Yeah, no, this felt... Like, I feel like it's already fading from my memory.
Yeah.
It felt... like, I'm going to go with I'm not feeling it. It's a light not feeling it. This is theoretically better than... It's better than like, the New 52 Batmans and the Justice Leagues.
It's certainly written better than all of those.
And it's animated better. Like, it's better. It's just... It doesn't have a story worth telling.
I don't feel like I can flip green either, and I hate that.
Same here.
I mean, it really bothers me. I feel like I should.
It's a real light red.
And if I'm comparing it...
But the problem was I was bored by the end of it.
Exactly. If I'm comparing it to all the other... Most of, I should say, the New 52-inspired movies. Because as
Justice vs. Teen Titans was better than this.
And it's one of the... It's in probably the top 10 or 15. I mean, it's pretty
And Justice League Dark is better than this.
Yeah. So, like, even New 52 inspired has made some things that we like better than this.
Mm.
Maybe that on principle means I gotta flip red, but like, I don't know. If you force me to compare it to the things we've had lately, like Death and Reign of the Supermen, like, yeah, it would be green if I'm just comparing it to those, if that's the scale. But looking at like all of the direct-to-video stuff and looking at this compared to other great DCAU stuff, it's just okay.
I think,
and it didn't. It like I said, it didn't keep my attention. It's a light red, because the only thing that gives me pause and would make me start to turn it green is kind of just the stuff I miss from that, which borders on, okay, I just like the nostalgia of it.
Mm.
And that's not enough for a green sign.
But in that case, why don't you just go back to Just Like Unlimited?
And I was going to say, this made me just want to go look at the episodes I never bothered looking at.
Mm-hmm. I think a major flaw of this movie is if you're doing this movie, we need to take Justice League to the future. To the Legion.
Sure.
Because this is more the direction of where I want them to go, and I appreciate the freshness of not just doing Darkseid, or not just doing like Joker and Lex Luthor team up, or like something like that,
It's not been there, done that.
It's not been there, done
which
that.
Which is nice.
And I like that. The problem is I just don't think they came up with a good enough story to justify doing it.
And it feels like a story that they weren't all that excited to tell, but told really competently.
Mm-hmm.
Which is weird. Like, it seemed like it's one of those things where it seemed like they were excited to animate the story before they were excited to tell it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but like I would see the next one and just hope that the story's better next time.
Yeah, sure. Maybe by the exact same team.
Mm-hmm.
And I would want that over more of what direct-to-video has been doing.
Yeah.
I also, and this is not fair, could not help but compare it a little bit to Superman versus the Elite. And the reason is because that was another movie with bad guys I've never heard of, that and I mean, I realize other people have read that material, but like where I didn't go in being excited about it because I was like, I don't know these characters, I don't know what this is, I'm not familiar with the source material, and they kind of went their own way and told their own story. I don't think that's a direct adaptation of anything.
It is. It's a direct adaptation of a single issue, but it's written by the same guy, so he rewrote. I think that's DeMatteis.
Again, so not really a fair comparison, but the reason I couldn't help but think about it is I wanted to be won over by these characters that I'd never heard of and leave remembering all their names and knowing stuff about them, like I did with Superman versus the Elite, and that was such a compelling story and went in a real different direction than I've seen a lot of Superman stuff. It was pushing envelopes. This could have been. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean that this is that like I'm flipping my sign red because this didn't change hearts and minds, but the problem is, if it's gonna be just a fun romp, I need to have more fun with it. And if it's gonna be just and if it doesn't want to just be a fun romp, and it wants to be about the mental instability issues and that kind of stuff, that needs to be brought more to the fore and drive the piece. And it just didn't do that. So there are snippets of, there are like seeds of ideas that I loved, that I just wanted it to run with.
Yeah. It just doesn't all come together.
Yeah. So I don't know, it's unfortunate. I'm disappointed about that. But like if you miss DCAU, it's probably worth your time.
I don't know, I'm so mixed on something like that where it's like, well, you missed DCAU, like you're seeing it again, but you can just go rewatch the Justice League.
Yeah, and it's not adding anything major where you're like, well, this changes everything.
This may as well be in continuity, but at the same time,
it doesn't even matter if it is.
It's not like, it doesn't feel like this is the first time we've gotten to check in with them. We're like, what? Like, look at all that's changed since last you saw this.
It only does in
new characters,
putting in characters that we've never seen in that style before. Although I don't know if Mr. Terrific was ever done in a Justice League Unlimited
I think he's
episode.
in Unlimited. I think, but I could be wrong.
I thought Miss Martian was a weird choice.
Yep.
Especially right after Young Justice comes back.
And to like give her such a non-story.
And then who else was in?
I feel like you could have cut her completely.
Who else did they add to the Justice League?
It was just Jessica Cruz, right?
I guess Jessica Cruz.
Because it's Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Miss Martian, Mr. Terrific, and Jessica Cruz. I think.
And again, I liked her better than I have in other stuff.
They needed Miss Martian should have been substituted for a more for just a comic relief character. Like it should have been like the Flash or someone.
Sure.
Have Guy Gardner in there. Have him be a jerk and like she's competing to replace his spot on the Justice League, something like that.
And also, it's not like it's a humorless film. There are a couple of jokes here and there that I thought landed and were funny.
And I don't need it to be super jokey. It felt like it needed a tension break, but it's just kind of dull.
Yeah.
It needed something to spice up. The action needed to be cooler or more different, and that's always been my problem with Justice League, is I always think the action's not... Because it's not a flashy style.
Yeah.
It's not... there's always been something lacking about the action and the animation. So, like, it's not exciting. I'm not saying I need it to be funny, I need it to be more exciting, and it was just kind of dull. And that's the problem.
But I will say, I hope people watch this because I want, and I'm not saying that I even wholeheartedly recommend it, But I'm sure the reason I said if you love DCAU and you missed that, you may want to look at this just because the animation is so spot on.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it.
I would rather people watch this and put their dollars and views behind this than Death and Return of Superman. And
I say that mostly because I would love to see another one.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to see them coming back and do a Batman Beyond movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would just be wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other cool stuff that they could do too. But like there are fun in between gaps with like Justice League to Batman Beyond and stuff where you could make a movie and fill in some gaps. You could do some fun continuity stuff if they wanted to. And I'm not saying that you have to do continuity things for me to care about this universe again, because they can just tell a story. And it is kind of nice that they did that. They just told a story so that like if you aren't already familiar with DCAU, you didn't have to be. But at the same time, it wasn't as fun as it should have been, so it kind of made me wish I was looking at something that mattered in the continuity.
Yeah, but for someone who isn't familiar with that continuity, I would point them to other films first.
Of course.
Justice League versus Teen Titans, Justice League, what's the one you don't like? Christ on Two Earth, and even
I didn't like it at the time. I've never gone back to it.
You should.
Maybe I will.
And even Justice League Doom, which isn't a great film, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it is. Sure.
It's kind of a dumb movie. Pretty much all of those traps are dumb, but it's a fun movie.
Before we close, because we always talk about this with these, we should mention the PG-13ness of it. We should mention the adultness of it.
Some of the language wasn't great. There's one line that's really bad that's not even a swear word.
That just seemed kind of unnecessary.
Yeah. It doesn't take anything out of it. It feels fine to me. It never felt intrusive.
I just wanted to mention it because it's DCAU or that style, and we haven't seen them go to these places except for Batman and Harley Quinn.
Well, and Gods and Monsters
does
it a little bit
again, I don't remember that being the same style.
Oh, I can grab it right out of the... Like, it's...
I remember it being, like, very Bruce Timm-esque, but not really...
You can't really tell on the cover, because it's that thing that they do.
Right.
But, no, it's definitely...
I'll have to go back and look at that one again, too. I don't think it's like this, though, where it just looks straight up like an episode of that show.
I think it does, but you probably don't remember it that way because it's all different characters, all different designs.
Okay.
Because it's a completely alternate world, but it's still that style.
Okay, I'm going to have to go back and look at it.
Sure.
I'm going to pull that out when we're done here, and I'm going to sample a piece of it just see, because it's been forever, I don't remember. But anyway, what were we talking about?
The R-ratedness of it.
Oh, the R-rated, yeah. But
or the PG-13
besides that, it's the first time we've really seen them like go to town and be able to do anything they want to without censors, as far as like, well, we want like a bloody corpse here and that kind of thing, and it's like Young Justice.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah. I didn't. None of that felt intrusive or even unearned. It felt like it was done more maturely than a lot of the other DC direct animated videos.
Yeah, so I thought that was handled pretty okay, but yeah, I'm bummed out to say red on this, but
yeah, should also mention that it day and date on DC Universe.
They've been doing that. This is now the third time they've done it, so I think consistently. I doubt very seriously if Batman Ninja Turtles will be that way.
It's not day and date for digital, right?
I think it's day and date just for the physical release.
So
I think they are selling it full price digital for 2 weeks beforehand.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure you're right about that. Yes, but we watched it on DC Universe.
Yeah.
I have not bought this yet, but it's really cool that they do that.
Wait a year, you can buy it for like $10.
That's the reason I'm waiting. But it is. But it's really cool that they give you that extra bang for your buck on DC Universe. That is a pretty good selling point. That's kind of a maybe a reason.
If you like these animated movies, they drop day and date with the physical release.
Or if you don't, but you feel the need for whatever reason to watch them anyway.
Yeah.
Like us.
Yeah,
so we're in a unique situation, but like we don't get super excited about it, except for Batman Ninja Turtles. I'm stoked about that. I can't wait. And I hope that comes out on DC Universe. I say I doubt it. I mean, it is a DC release. Like, just because it has Ninja Turtles in it, that doesn't necessarily preclude it from being there. So maybe it will. But I don't know. I gotta give them that. That's really cool that they do that. DC Universe more and more is becoming way worth that $8 a month. Especially, and I put out a video about this recently, but especially because they're gonna put up the entire catalog of digital DC comics. Like, that's worth your $8 right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so cool that service is worth it now. But anyway, any last thoughts? Anything
No.
else? Well, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed our video, and leave your comments. Let us know what you thought of Justice League versus the Flag Five. The Fatal Five. And I'd watch that movie though. I'd watch that. Anyway, you have the dog from the Flag Five and the Tick versus like Ace the Bat Hound. It'd be great. Anyway, we sure appreciate you watching, and we will see you again next time. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
Bye, folks.